Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I want to talk about the issue of having too many guitar pedals. Is having too many pedals even a real thing? They are relatively inexpensive, they're fun to collect, and they are just, a lot of fun to mix and match. You go through, you build a board. Sometimes you think, oh, this is it. There'll never be a change to this board. And then, of course, inevitably, you go along and you're like, okay, well, that needs to be swapped out. Or a new product comes up and you're like, I have to have that. So it's just an ongoing thing of whether, it's like you bring a pedal in and then you have a pedal go out, or if you become a collector like myself. I am not a crazy pedal collector. I don't have a whole ton of stuff. I have a lot of things on boards. I've got a board here, I've got a couple in the studio, and then I have this pile of pedals here and a little pile down there, and there are a few others squirreled away in other places around the shop and the studio. I don't feel like I have a collecting problem. However, every once in a while, I just kind of start looking around and I go, well, am I ever going to use that again? Is that something that I want to keep forever? So I thought that what I would do, and I think that since so many other people probably wrestle with this, either buying, selling, trading, whatever, pedals can be very addictive, and pedals can be one of those things that you feel like you're drowning in sometimes. So I thought I would go through 4 of the pedals that I'm feeling, ambiguous about, that I'm feeling like, oh, well, maybe I don't need these. Maybe it's time to let them go. But there's different case scenarios for each pedal that you own. There are some that are just utility pedals where you're like, oh, I have to have that, like a clean boost or, a really good, reliable overdrive. Your basic effects, like a chorus and a flanger and a delay that all work well for you. However, we all like to branch out and get into specialty things or buy something that's either cool and funky and vintage, or something that's relatively rare, or something that just does something that no other pedal can do. So we're going to go through these 4 pedals real quick, and just I'll discuss my pros and cons of whether I should keep them or get rid of them. So let's take a look. All right. First off, we have the TC Electronic Nova Repeater. This is a series that came out about 15-20 years ago. These are big pedals, and they have a lot of features. They're built really well. It's a cool pedal. There's no doubt it does what it's supposed to do, which is to give you a huge variety of delays. It was marketed well, but fell out of popularity pretty quickly, I think, because of its size and the fact that this is one of those things that kind of lives in that weird technology gap of the, early 2000s into around 2010, where technology had reached a certain plateau, but it hadn't jumped to the next level yet. So this is one of those in-between pedals that now you can get a pedal that does all the things that this one does in a normal, a normal housing. It's not gigantic. It does, there's all kinds of different buttons and menu scrolls that you have to do with this pedal to get what you want. It's a piece of history, if nothing else, but it works as advertised, and it does have a tap tempo. So it's a very usable delay pedal. It's a great pedal. However, I prefer a simple 3-knob analog delay. This does that, but it takes up a lot of real estate. And I appreciate its moment in time, but it also needs a specialty. You can't just plug it in to any, using a power strip. You have to have the proprietary wall wart to go along with this, which I do have. So at the end of the day, do I keep a piece of history that's super cool, but I'll never use again? Or do I sell this to somebody who will actually use it and really appreciate it? I'm leaning towards the sell category for this one, but we'll see. All right, so that's one type of pedal that you would have in your collection, that maybe it's like a stopgap, weird moment in time pedal that's super cool and fun to have, but will you really use it? So that's our first example. Here's another pedal. This has been on the channel a number of times, and it's because I really want to love this pedal. It's the Alexander syntax error. And this thing does all sorts of cool glitch sounds and things like that. It's got distortion in it. It's got some delay sounds. I bought it to be a cool, very flexible ring modulation unit. It has tons of features that I've never even remotely touched. And over time, I've had it for 2.5 years now. It was on my board a total of maybe a month out of the last 2.5 years. I found that I have found to this point that I don't use it much. And I've also realized, you know, especially coming out of the project I just completed, I'm not really into the bizarro guitar sounds, and that's what this does. And in the right hands, I'm sure this pedal is an amazing tool. I don't believe I have those hands. I spent a fair amount of money on this pedal. I mean, it's like a $200 pedal, which is a lot for me. I like to buy used stuff and simple pedals that don't cost very much money. And for me to invest in this, it's hard for me to admit that maybe I made a purchasing error. Sometimes you do that. You get ambitious. You go, oh, I know I can use that. I need those sounds. And then you get it and you start playing through it and it's like, boy, I don't think I need those sounds. And that's kind of where I've arrived with this one. I think I made a mistake. And I think that this one is eventually going to have to leave the collection for the simple fact that I won't use it. And it'll be a good deal for somebody out there on the marketplace because I'll price it fairly. These usually don't depreciate hardly at all. I'll put it at a little bit better price, give somebody a good deal on it who really wants to explore what this pedal can do. All right, so that's the Alexander syntax error. Now let's get into a whole different classification. Just the meat and potatoes pedals. You know, this is a Boss CE5 chorus pedal. Great pedal. Has, you know, the extra feature sets that they're standard, you know, basic, like I have a CE3, which I prefer to this because it's just a very simple pedal. It's basically the CE2, but with an extra knob for the stereo effect. And this pedal, I just don't have a place for it. I have a number of chorus pedals that I'm just totally happy with. And this one's just kind of hanging out. I'm not going to get a whole lot of money for this. This isn't like, oh boy, you know, I can sell this one and I'm going to, you know, get rich or something. It's just a basic CE5. Should I just keep it? I mean, maybe someday I would be like, oh, I might want that feature set, or I just want the particular tone of this circuit. And so, since I'm not going to make much off of this pedal, this is one that would probably, and it's a Boss pedal, I would probably just keep. Even though I know I'll never use it, probably, but I might. So this is one of those cases where I'd probably just keep the pedal. And that's another example, though, of wrestling with, you know, you've got something, you don't use it hardly at all. Is it worth getting rid of? And with Boss stuff, I don't know. I just feel like keeping it just kind of makes sense. Now here, this final example, this is a tough one. So this is a Digitech X Series, and this is the Synth Wah. This is a hard pedal to come by, and when you do come around and find one, it usually costs quite a bit of money. This is one of the pedals in that series that has appreciated and is considered one of the harder ones to find in the series. I do have a lot of the pedals in this series. I have over half of them, and part of me is a collector mentality popping in, wants to go ahead and complete getting the entire Digitech X Series line of pedals and just have a pedal board that's nothing but those. And I think that, and I do use some of them regularly on my boards. This one I was really excited about. I thought that the synth sounds that were in it were going to be super usable. They're not. Let's just be blunt about this pedal. There's a lot of demos out there of this pedal that try to, you know, hype it up a little bit and say, wow, you know, this has, you know, certain tones and certain things that you can't get anywhere else. And that's true. And there's a reason. You probably don't want them. It's a fun toy. It also completes that slot in the Digitech X Series. This one is tough because I know I'll never use it. This is just never going back on the board. I tried to use this for a few months and I just kept over and over again finding that there was just no way that I was going to actually utilize this for anything that I do. It will never go back on a board. However, since I am close to having the entire line, it's hard to let this one go, especially since I already bought it. It's only gotten more expensive over the years since I did purchase it. And I am planning, the remainder of the pedals in the series that I have to collect are the easy ones to get that don't cost a whole lot of money. So I'll probably keep this one. All right. So when we do the final analysis here, you've got the oddball, the place in history that's totally usable, but kind of bulky and big. I think that's on its way out. You got the pedal that you buy, and then you discover, I spent all this money, but I either don't get it or I'm never going to use it. I think that's out the door. But then we come to these two, and I think that I'll just keep them. And that's how I go about trying to analyze, I think all of us, especially when the new year rolls around and we start looking around all of our gear, we start thinking, oh, is it time to downsize? Should we, get some things out, get some cash coming in so that we can buy some new things? And that's where I'm at, just like everybody else. And so I've been, wrestling with these kind of decisions. Thought I'd go through my thought process here on camera, share the video with everybody. And I think that if all of you, any of you, have a story to relate, it would be of value to leave it in the comments. We all go round and round on these sort of things, and it would be fun to see how other people arrive at their decision to keep or to get rid of a pedal. All right. If you made it this far into the video, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. Shares are greatly appreciated, and the comments section. We all go through this. Leave your stories in the comments section. Look forward to it. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.